There is a quiet hill in the heart of St. John's, where the city holds its breath. To the casual eye, it is an open lawn, a patch of vibrant green framed by the heavy dark masonry of the Anglican Cathedral. People walk their dogs along the perimeter. Commuters rush past to the rhythm of the downtown streets, and the salt air drifts up from the harbor just below. It looks like a sanctuary of peace, a simple park. But the earth has a memory, and this grass is a shroud. If you stand here long enough, when the fog rolls over the church hill and the city noise begins to blur, the true weight of this ground settles in. You are not standing in an empty field. You are standing on the roof of a hidden metropolis, a silent city of the dead. Local history whispers that beneath this manicured lawn, compressed into the dark soil, rests the bones of 5,000, perhaps 20,000 souls. It is one of the most densely populated burial grounds on this side of the Atlantic, yet the surface is completely still. The names are missing, the markers are gone. It begs a quiet question into Newfoundland wind. Where did everybody go? To find the people who sleep beneath this grass, we have to look back to the very dawn of this harbor, to the late 1600s and 1700s, when St. John's was not yet a city of colorful row houses, but a brutal, windswept outpost of the North Atlantic migrant fishery. Every spring, the wooden ships arrived, packed with young men from the coastlines of England and Ireland. They came to harvest the sea, risking everything on the treacherous banks. But the ocean is a cruel master, and the early winters of this island are forgiving. Disease took them, accidents took them, the sheer exhausting weight of survival broke them. When a fisherman died on these shores, far from the parish churches of his home, he was brought up this hill. There was no time for elaborate funerals and no luxury of space. The earth here is shallow, stubborn, and rocky. And so they were buried in the clothes they wore or wrapped in a simple shrouds, placed tightly shoulder to shoulder and stacked one on top of the other in shared, crowded earth. Merchants, soldiers, tavern keepers, and thousands of nameless boys who never saw home again, all poured into the same hillside. They were the anonymous hands that carved this harbor out of the wilderness. They gave their sweat to the fishery and their bodies to the soil, transforming a barren hill into a collective monument of only survival. They were anchored here forever, buried beneath the roots of the grass marked only by the passing of the seasons. For generations, their resting places were known. They were marked simply the way a poor fishing family could afford, with crosses carved from local timber or rough wooden headboards painted against the salt air. A forest of wood rose from the hill, tracking the names of those who fell. Then came the 9th of July, 1892. A single spark, a rising gale, and the city of St. John's became an ocean of fire. The inferno tore up the slopes, its heat so monstrous that it gutted the massive stone cathedral, leaving it a hollow, blackened shell. Outside on the lawns, the fire spared nothing. Centuries of wooden crosses didn't just burn. They ignited into a wall of flame and vanished entirely into ash. In a matter of hours, the physical receipts of thousands of lives were erased. The fire took their names, their dates, and their memories, leaving the hillside completely blank, a graveyard stripped of its identity. Look closely at the edges of the property today, where the shadows of the stone buttresses fall. A few pieces of ancient slate survive the flames. They lean at impossible angles, scarred by fire, cracked by frost, and worn smooth by 3 centuries of Atlantic rain. These few remaining stones are like ghosts frozen in time. If you run your fingers along the weathered slate, you can still feel the faint indentations of hand-carved letters. A name half swallowed by moss, a cherub's face worn smooth by the wind. A date from a century before we were born. They are beautiful, Gothic sentinels, standing guard over a family plot that has long since blended back into the common earth. The rest of the hill remains perfectly smooth. Whenever modern life forces the city to touch the soil for a pipe, a foundation, a renovation, the ground opens up and the truth reveals itself immediately. The bones are still there, interwoven with the soil. Isn't it amazing how the past and the present can coexist here in this very spot? I mean, every day people are walking up and down this street. They're on their way to meetings, on their way to work, maybe meet a friend for coffee, checking their phones, all walking by this area, kind of oblivious to the fact that there's anywhere from 5,500 to 20,000 people buried just right here in this area. And the sad part about it is all the names will be forgotten. There's no markers there, there's no flowers on the graves, not like you'd see on a regular maintained cemetery. But buried beneath there are all the people, the nameless people who helped build this city with their hands. And you know what? They're still there, and they always will be. The rest of the hill remains perfectly smooth. Whenever modern life forces the city to touch the soil for a pipe, a foundation, a renovation, the ground opens up and the truth reveals itself immediately. The bones are still there, interwoven with the soil, holding up the very earth of downtown. As the sun goes down over Church Hill and the colorful lights of the city begin to wake up, the contrast is stark. We walk our paths, we live our loud, modern lives, while directly beneath our feet, thousands of silent settlers watch the harbor. They have no standing monuments, no modern flowers, and their names belong only to the fog. But they are not truly gone. They are the dust of St. John's. They are the silent foundation of everything we see.